Work is the foundation of our economy, and it drives our quality of life. A good working environment is in all of our interests. Our next guest has dedicated himself to understanding and fighting against bullying in the workplace. He wants to ensure that those who contribute to our prosperity do so with dignity and respect. And he's just published a book to achieve that very goal. Please welcome Paul Pelletier.
Thank you, Lynn and Sam, for humbling me with the chance to speak tonight. I'd like to tell you about the time when everything crystallized, and I knew something was really weird at the place that I worked. It was the third week of December. I got off the elevator, usual time, and there they were. Hanging from my office door and the door from some of my colleagues was a festive Christmas stocking. And you think, oh, awesome, right? No, creepy. Because sticking out of every stocking prominently was this. And some of you are probably saying, well, what's wrong with a toy minion from the movie Despicable Me? Well, in the context of everything that had been happening at my work, this was like a not-so-subtle message from our boss. Because working for him was like death by 1,000 disrespectful paper cuts. There was the narcissistic lack of compassion for anyone's needs or emotions. There was the intentional, intimidating behavior, the eye rolls, disdain. And there was the nasty remarks, even threats to fire people. You see, workplace bullies have to be a lot more cunning and manipulative than a schoolyard bully because they can't publicly humiliate or harm their targets. So they embark on a slow, deliberate, and intensifying series of intentional, disrespectful behavior that's designed to grind their targets down and turn workplaces into more like war zones. So back to this. So I got the stocking, the minion, and sat in my office going, what the hell do I do with this? Why is it making me feel so weird? So without even really realizing what I was doing, I Googled minion. And here's what I found out. This isn't funny. This is exactly what I thought was going on. This was our boss saying, hey, you're my minions. Well, that made me feel really crappy. But luckily I had some colleagues who came in to talk to me. One woman said, you know, I can't apologize for him, but I am embarrassed to work here. And another guy who got a minion said, no, this crosses a line. He gave us a minion, for God's sakes. Who does that? But one woman, she nailed it. She said, the truth is, we have been talking about his bad behavior for months. But he has friends in high places, and we're terrified of him. And that's exactly how I felt. And I would love to say that I had the courage to go into my boss's office and say, this isn't cool. But I didn't. I'm more embarrassed to say that I thanked him. And thanking my boss for giving me a slave doll as a gift was an all-time low. Because it also crystallized that I'd been acting like a minion. For months, I'd been desperately trying to please someone who desperately didn't care. And I thought it would get better, but it didn't. It got worse. And then a few months later, I went to the doctor, and he said, you're not going back to work. So I didn't. Ever. Now, I'd like to tell you that that story's weird, unusual, remarkable. It's not. 70% of you in this room have been impacted by workplace bullying. You could tell a similar story. Does that shock you? 70%. But I have to tell you that for me, that story changed what I want to do. Because I don't want anyone who was wearing the shoes I had on at that time to make the many mistakes that I made. And I would really like that people who are in those shoes to have skills and strategies and even action plans for managing workplace bullies and hopefully getting a way better result than me. And since then, I've had the incredible privilege of speaking about this topic all over the world, and I have heard hundreds of stories about failed careers and health, toxic workplaces, dysfunctional teams, all caused by bullies. And I'm telling you, respected business leaders, they understand the disastrous consequences of bullies, the financial impact, the severances, the lawsuits, the HR nightmare, the drama, the chaos. But what I don't get is if we all know that, then can you tell me why our organizations continue to hire, promote, protect, and support bullies? I think I know the answer. And it had to do with how I responded to the behavior. Because the truth is, I did this, nothing. And the vast majority of times, that's exactly what all of us do, is nothing. And we do nothing because we are afraid. And that fear paralyzes us. But when I was coming out of this chaos, I had to also accept that my silence contributed to the bad behavior. It was like reinforcement. It was like consent. And that felt pretty crappy. But what if instead of silence, together, we made some very strategic, small, impactful things, changes, steps? And I can promise you none of them are intimidating, none of them are scary, none of them are risky, and none of them will increase the likelihood of bad behavior because the bully won't even know you're doing them. The key is knowing what to do when. And I believe that if we know what to do when, together, not solo, together, we can disrupt the bully industry. That's what I'm interested in doing. Now, the key, the trick, is knowing what to do at the right time and what not to do. I'm going to give you two examples, what not to do. It's very common for really respectful people to be very upset when they see behavior just a couple of times. So what do? They see a couple of bad behaviors, and as a single person, they go to HR and they report it. This is no disrespect to HR, but they have a job to do, and that is act in the best interests of the organization. They do a risk assessment, and with that fact pattern, it looks like this. I got one person, couple of events, no other people, nothing else, and I got a nasty, protected bully. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to solve this problem, going to give you some money, sign this document, and you don't work here anymore. That's a bad result. So let's think about better results. What if we did three things? All of us. What if we stepped up first? And I know you do this already, but if we really made a serious commitment to being a workplace respect leader, we set rules, and anyone who ignored the rules was told, we don't do that here. Because bullies don't know what to do when they see a wall of consistent, respectful behavior. Number two, instead of running from someone who's being victimized, because we do it because we're afraid that then the target will turn onto us, but what if instead we circled the wagons together and supported that person? Wouldn't you want that if you were a victim? But bullies also don't know what to do when a victim is supported. That's weird for them. Three, and the most important, what if all of us from today forward agreed to document bad behavior when it happens at work? What does that look like? It's so simple. Just write down what happened, who was there, when. Was there any email follow-up? Anything happen afterwards? Just think about it. If just half a dozen of you did this at work and you went like this, we're in this together. We're going to wait. We're going to be more patient. We're going to get like 6 or 7 examples of bad behavior. And then together, we're going to go to HR. And the risk assessment's going to look like this. Holy crap. I got a group of people, consistent, corroborated, powerful evidence. Executives, get ready. We're dealing with the elephant in the room. That's what we can do if we do it together. Our fear will disappear if we support each other and act as a team. Now, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The time is always right to do what is right." It's time. Because we can't be minions. Thank you.